Hi, I'm MJ from Lioness Publications. And this morning, what we're going to look at is the upcoming meeting between Donald Trump and Putin in Alaska. We don't have the time of the meeting, and that may not make much difference in what I'm seeing in the chart. But if it does, when I get the time, adjust the chart. Now, the meeting is next Friday. And a few things I want to note here. Donald Trump's planets are in the inner circle. Putin's are in the middle circle. And the current transits for that day are on the outer circle. Now, I am going to limit the discussion to be on what is being triggered within Donald Trump's chart and Putin's chart. I'm not going to get into all the interconnections between the planets because my focus is on what is being triggered by the current transits up above us. And just to, reaffirm, the planets don't specifically do anything. What happens is it's the energy, it's the magnetic energy from the planets that does something. It interacts with us, our, in effect, energy. So let's take a look first at the Mars. So Mars is down here. And Mars is, in effect, your actions, what you're focused on. And the Mars is going to be pushing action. Now, it is not making any angle in Putin's chart, which is a little surprising, but maybe he doesn't have to push anything. But it is making an angle in Trump's chart. It's making an angle to Trump's Neptune. And more importantly, it's also making an angle to Trump's Mercury. In Trump's natal chart, he has Neptune square Mercury. And that's why he is such a liar. That's why he exaggerates so much. That's why he doesn't have any perception of the truth. Now, for that to be touched on by Mars means that that's going to be coming up in the meeting. That's what Trump is in effect going to be asserting. So he's going to be asserting lies. So that's, to me, a little daunting in that I'm not sure how you can reach an agreement when you have lies on the table. Now, by lies, I mean he may not have his facts right. So maybe he's not outright lying, but it's even worse that he doesn't know what's correct or what's false. So that's not good. Now let's take a look at another piece here. And we're going to look at the sun. The sun will be at approximately 23 degrees Leo at that point, which means it's going to be making an angle, a conjunction to Putin's Pluto. That's pretty powerful. So that's energizing his manipulation, his power, his control. But it's also making a conjunction to Trump's Mars. So it's energizing Trump's aggression. Now, when it comes to Pluto and Mars here, Pluto is manipulation, it's power. Mars is just outright, movement, aggression. Pluto is going to have an edge over the Mars because Pluto is more strategy. Mars is more action. And in this case, diplomacy is called for. Now, when we look at this, we also see that Sun is activating Putin's Mars. And Mars, by the way, is trine his Pluto. That's a pretty powerful position. That means he can manipulate to get what he wants. Now, what we have here is also Mars, Trump's, is activating South Node and the Moon. South Node is where we give out. Moon is emotions. That's why sometimes Trump can't control his emotions because Mars is sitting behind that. Even though it's an easy type of angle, it still brings aggression into what he's doing. More importantly, we have Pluto, in effect, trining Trump's South Node and Moon, which means he is able to take advantage of that. We also have these Trump's Mars trining Putin's Mars, which means that, they're probably not going to get aggressive with each other, but they just sort of understand, and they understand sort of how each one is going to be their mode of operation. Now, more importantly, Putin's Mars is sitting right on top of Trump's South Node and Moon. And the conjunction here is pretty potent in that Mars is going to be able to what? Well, it's hitting the South Node. It's going to be able to get Donald to give out more than what he wants. It's also right on Donald's emotions, which means that he's going to bring out things in Trump that likely Trump's going to lose control of the situation, which is not what you want to see. So this is not a great angle. Now, let's take a look at another piece here, and that is, let's come up to Venus. Now, Venus is going to be making a conjunction on Putin's Uranus. Changeable. Changes. Venus, in effect, social skills, community. This is Putin coming in effect. He's going to be able to change because it's on his change piece. The situation is going to be something where he might be able to change, in effect, a playing board. So change what's up for grabs. Now, this is also making a square angle, which is a tense angle, to Putin's Saturn. So, in effect, Saturn is restrictions. He wants to get rid of those restrictions. So Venus coming here is trying to soften that. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Now, Venus is also square to Trump's Jupiter. So he's not going to really want to give up anything. But importantly, what we have is Saturn is actually sitting on Trump's Jupiter, which means that Putin can actually restrict what Trump is doing here. So again, this is because Venus is activating both of these. And then we have both of these in his chart. Which one is going to be more powerful? Now, we also have the Uranus here, which is square to Trump's Jupiter. Again, he's changing the playing board. He's changing what they're going to be talking about. Now, the next thing we have is we have Jupiter. Now, Jupiter, and this is in Cancer, is going to be making a square also to Putin's Saturn. So this is, again, trying to expand what he's restricted from. So he's going to want to expand the territories. And that's a no-brainer. Okay? Of course, that's going to happen. Now, Jupiter is also square to Trump's Jupiter, which means Trump is not going to... He needs to be careful in that, again, Jupiter is expansion, and when it's already on an expansion point in his chart, he's likely not giving more territory, but he's probably going to give up territory. Because again, remember, we've got the Saturn here sitting on Trump's Jupiter. So that's sort of trumping, pardon the pun, it's sort of restricting what Trump can do. So when we look at all of this, we talked about the Mars, the Venus, the Jupiter, and the Sun. Most of what Trump is coming into this with is really checkmate by what Putin's coming in by. So I think in this case, Putin is going to come out with more of a win position than Trump is. Now, sorry about that. But we'll see. And if I see anything different here, I will update. Now, we are, as a note, we didn't have any of the major planets actually having any definite pieces here. So this is not something that's a long-term type of agreement. I would say it's relatively, short-term. And when you think of nations, you're not talking years here, you're talking months. So nothing much seems to be decided that's going to be, long-term, because we don't have any of the long-term planets involved in this. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this and have a great day. Bye now.